Semi-pico.
Hello, Eloisa.
Hello.
Hola, how are you doing? How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Good
I'm
to see
very
you.
happy to be in this session.
Yes, thank you. Likewise. And is Francis okay? Is he around? Let me say hello to him.
Yes,
Hello, Francis. Is he around?
he's
Yeah, tell him to come around and say hello to all of us.
Francesca,
Um, yes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry we started a couple of minutes late, and this is going to be a great session. Namaste, 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 Francis. This is going to be a great session, and Eloisa is going to talk to you about her experiences and her sound recordings that she has done in the last 25 years of visits to India. And we've been friends for over 20 years, and I've gone and stayed with them, and I've traveled with them in Spain, into Pyrenees, into Montserrat, and lots of places, and they've really looked after me well. And that was a time when I've enjoyed Spanish hospitality, to the fullest. So it's been fantastic, and I'm just going to ask you to type in the chat if you all can hear me well. Welcome Abid, welcome Iqbal, welcome Indish, welcome Lampila, welcome Brian. Good to see you again, my friend. Welcome Ritu Papan and Sidhu and Dilipji, Mahesh and Ketan. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of people here today. Lots and lots of people here today, Loisa. So, well, we're laughing because because this is not going to be as smooth as it's been all the time, because the way she's going to present her sonograms and the sounds is going to be a little complicated. So you'll have to bear with us, and you'll have to you have to be forgiving today, because she's going to be talking, stopping a screen, showing you sonograms, making you go through the experiences, so lots of things from lots of places in India. And she's also going to talk to you about some techniques and her expertise. But before we get started, I'll quickly read out her introduction, which is really noteworthy, and you'd be pleased to meet her here. She's a biologist specializing in zoology. In 1987, she started recording bird vocalizations and their repertoire, and very soon also into soundscapes, carrying out recording campaigns of nature sounds in different countries of the world. In 1992, she founded a label, Alosa, Sounds of Nature, and published the first sound guide to the birds of Spain, and later other guides on amphibians, mammals, and other soundscapes as well. She's contributed and participated in ornithological and wildlife ecology research works with authors from different disciplines, and have carried out bioacoustic research on emblematic species such as Iberian lynx. Recently, she has become interested in acoustic ecology, and she collaborates with parks and naturalistic entities in the study and monitoring of soundscapes, making continuous recordings and developing bioacoustic indices for a better understanding of them. She's particularly interested in making nature sounds known as a powerful tool for nature conservation. She gives talks and audio conferences, workshops, and courses on identification of birds by their songs, and on the perception and listening to the landscape in Spain, France, Mauritius, Kenya, Borneo, and Uruguay. She has collaborated with recordings in numerous exhibitions, documentaries, books on wildlife, multimedia projects. She participates in different press, radio, and TV programs in which she explains her work regularly in radio programs on environment contribution, and her way of listening to a landscape. So her website is eloisamatheu.com. I'm going to paste it in the chat later, and you can visit her website to know more about her. So that's what Eloisa is all about, and a lot more, of course. And Frances has been working as a very senior director in one of the national parks in Spain, and I visited that place, and they've done some wonderful jobs there. So friends, I'm Mohit Aggarwal. I'm an experiential ecotourism specialist with a deep love for nature. I help people to travel to some wonderful places in Asia. I'm on the board of Asian Ecotourism Network, and I've been trained and certified by GSTC in sustainable tourism. I'm the founder of Asian Adventure, the 27-year-old travel company. It is the largest bird-watching company of India. I'm also the founder of NatiNeta. It's an email marketing company, now a full-fledged digital marketing company, which is out to help conservation organizations and ecotourism organizations. These companies are on a large mission to help Asian elephants with their corridors, free the Himalayas of plastic waste, and help small wildlife NGOs, also the Himalayan shrines. So these are our goals. So that was a bit about me. And don't worry, Shripaji, you haven't missed out anything yet. We were just introducing ourselves. So over to you, Eloisa. Let's get started. And I know that, yeah. So friends, have patience because she will fiddle around with her computer keys, once in a while to show you her slides and also make you listen to the sounds. Over to you, Eloisa. And I'm going blank in a sense. I'm putting off my video and my audio now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mohit, and thank you to the Asian Adventures team for this invitation. It's really very interesting, this way of communication through online session that allows me to be here with you today. And that the pandemic has made a reality to stay. And I would like to have a memory for all the people who have suffered and are suffering from this disease, and especially in India. I have prepared today a session on sound of nature, a session to listen to, and even if you want to close your eyes, because it's about discovering and feeling the sound of nature in this vast country. Too often we naturalists and ornithologists, we travel concentrating on looking, observing, bird watching, and forgetting other senses to appreciate our environment. And sound, I think that sound provides us with a different way, complementary to sight, and helps us to enter into the natural environment. I prepare a short introduction about me, but it's not necessary after the speech of Mohit. When we started to travel to other countries to know different ecosystems, to us it was a discovery. Always we traveled with our equipment, recording equipment. We started recording with Nagra tape, and now we are working with sound devices. If you want, we can talk about this later. And on these trips of discovery, for us, were these trips of discovery. Our first contact with the country's nature was primarily acoustic, especially in closed and tropical ecosystems. The perception we have is that of a soundscape, that is the set of sounds of different origins that are present at a given moment in one place. For us, it is very important to capture the soundscape because it conveys the richness of the place, the purity of the environment. it's the biodiversity. It is not yet important to know the species. Later on during the trip, we get to know identities and assign each sound to a specific species, although this is not always possible. In 2000, we decided to visit India. It was a wonderful first trip full of discovery and little adventures. And this trip was followed by 6 more, largely because we met Mohit. A nice friendships arose, and Francesc and I could not longer ignore the attraction of the country, its wildlife, and its nature. On these short trips of a few weeks, our main purpose was to capture the sound impression, as I told you, that is the soundscape, rather than to create a complete collection of species sound and repertoires. In 2017, I attended an IBAC Congress in Ahmedabad where I presented a poster. I'm going to show you. Sorry. I presented this poster with a short selection of recordings made in different locations in India during 17 years or 7 trips. The recordings can still be listened to on my SoundCloud account, and some of them are already in Xenocanto as well, and in my website, of course. In today's session, we are going to take a brief glimpse at some of these places by listening to their soundscapes. And do not expect to see photographs. As an image, we will have the sonogram of each track, in which we will see how the different species share the acoustic spectrum. So I suggest you let your sound memories, your imagination, and enjoy the sound. And I recommend the use of headphones. Sorry. Okay, and here you are a sonogram of the sound that we are going to listen to next. And a sonogram is very simple and is very intuitive also. Is a representation of the sound. Here we have the frequencies from low frequencies to high pitch frequencies. Here we have almost all the audible spectrum, the sounds that we can hear. And here we have the time. The sounds are here represented. I open a little bit. Here are the sounds represented, and the yellow are the sounds with more amplitude, more intense, and the dark here, for example, all this area is without sound or very, very weak sounds. And a sonogram allows us to understand the sounds that we are listening, for example, these whistles, other kind of whistles here, the organization of the sound. Here is a repetition of a whistle, and these are sounds we are going to listen to, but these are whistles going down, for example, in pitch, or different. This is a trill, for example, a repetition of one note, etc. And it's very useful to listen to the sound looking at the sonogram for us, because we understand much better the sounds that we are listening to, and the organization, and also the soundscape, the construction of the soundscape. But now is I want to share with you my first our first impression or perception we had when we, in our first trip in 2000, we visited Pench Tiger Reserve in Maharashtra, in central India. I well remember now, more than 20 years ago, I well remember the first outing, accompanied by the reserve director very early in the morning, one misty morning on a lake, listening overwhelmed to the calls and sounds of numerous aquatic and also forest species from the surrounding forest, almost all of them unfamiliar. It is a thrill of a little breath. Dog. We can appreciate here melodious whistles, rough sounds, also sample notes, trills like this, drumming of a peacock, of woodpecker, sorry. It was our first contact, our first perception of nature in form of a lovely soundscape. During this year, also was our next visit was Taroba Tiger Reserve and National Park. And the year later, 1 year later, we were there again, and because we had the opportunity. We had the opportunity to participate in the tiger census, invited by Mr. Sri Bhagwan, in charge of tiger reserves in Yes, Maharashtra. Due to the absence of visitors, we had tranquility, a lot of tranquility. We enjoyed the possibility to walk, and above all, the chance to spend the whole night recording in different observatories in Machan, called Machan. And this was a very, very nice experience. We are going to listen at some excerpts of these nights, spent in this mansion. First, this is the first night. Sorry. It was at dusk, almost night. In front of us, we had grassland, an open landscape with a pond and isolated trees also. And again, with amazing sounds of unknown species. And also, it was that difficult time to observe birds and animals. But we have some sounds that we can recognize. This chunk that is here is the savanna nightjar, Captimurus affinis, that incessantly calls in flight, especially at dusk and at the beginning of the night. And we have this sound also. This is a somewhat mournful sound. It's the cheetah rot. It was mate season of cheetahs, and the males and the young females, they gather in the open country, and all the night males were calling like this. There are other birds, francolins, lapwings, also. A different call of cheetah. Here we can see a different form of sound. Let's go. It's a different species of nightjar. All these are insects. I hope you can hear them. Peacock and cheetah. And here's it now. Common halcuco is easy for us to learn. And plenty of other sounds, amazing sounds that we didn't know. And plenty of species here sharing the acoustic space from the lowest frequency up to 10,000 feet. We spent the night also in another machan. In this case, it was a very small machan in the forest. And I want to share, I want to show you, 3 moments of the night. This is at the beginning of the night. We have seen species singing. We had moments of quietness, of silent footsteps, wood owl calls maybe, moments of a lot of sound activity also. Noisy insects that made an eruption and then suddenly disappeared, and rain, thunderstorms. We don't know what are these cause, so if anyone in the audience knows them and can tell us, it will be a great help and very nice. This night was a fantastic experience. A bit later, in the middle of the night, we're recording an example. Perhaps it is a pair of wood owls. And maybe the low pitch calls correspond to the male and the high pitch calls to the female. Look at also to all these lines and bands of different thickness and color intensity. And here, this next sonogram, a bit later on the night. Insects have changed also. These lines and bands are different. Look at this. Here, other insect species are the players of the nocturnal symphony. Each species emits its song in a specific range of frequencies and with its own rhythm, sharing the sound space. And here at the beginning, you can see this white sound, this wide range of frequencies of I don't know which species of, but we cannot hear, almost we cannot hear because it's very close to the ultrasound. And because when theoretically we can appreciate frequencies from very low up to 20,000 frequencies, but with the age, this is theoretically, and with the age we are losing the possibility, the capacity to hear this sound. And a lot of people, when it's 40 or 50 years old, is not more able to appreciate these frequencies from here. So, and we, for example, we are out, and although the night may seem relatively silent, when we see the sonogram, we see that there is a great biodiversity. And during that visit to Tarouba during the tiger census, the tiger was already very present. We saw many footprints, tracks, and we sighted it on 2 occasions, or 3, but we did not hear it. Now we are going to leave the Sal Antique deciduous forest of central India. In 2007 and again in 2012, we visited extensively the northwest of the country. We went to Gir National Park and surroundings. We visited also Black Book National Park, Narara Marine National Park, Kishadija Bird Sanctuary, and Little Run of Kutch. I like open ecosystems, although they present intrinsic difficulties for recording, and in particular, aquatic environments have a special charm for me. The soundscape reflects the spaciousness, the birds are loud, and many emit high-pitched calls and songs. The movement air is often present, and distant sounds, even those of anthropogenic origin that usually are present. Altogether, the soundscape have something very special to me. Let's listen now to a short landscape recorded in Narara Marine Reserve National Park. It's a short excerpt, and here we hear a large group of crab flowers. We were very excited watching this weather. These are call of the crab flowers, and this high pitch, these trills are from the chicks. You can also hear getter, sunflower, and different species of waders. People talking also on the background. And you can appreciate this low rumble in the background, a low rumble coming from far away. It is the rumble of large boats, perhaps also of the sea. And now we go to the nearby Kijadija Bird Sanctuary. This sound, this rumble of anthropogenic origin or the sea sometimes is a common problem we encounter in open spaces. Low frequency sound, which is often anthropogenic in origin, as I said, has a long range and can be heard from great distances. In Kijadija Bird Sanctuary, we visited a pond and we enjoy a lot. There, the hustle and bustle of water for life, calls and splashes are reflected in the soundscape. It's the life. We enjoy the spectacle of pelicans flapping their wings and flying overhead, as well as numerous waterbirds. Also in the Northwest, we visited, of course, Gir National Park. I love Gir National Park. And there we were able to make nice recordings of birds in a bit noisy soundscape. And here we have a soundscape with different birds, alarm calls of chittens. And if you have your headphones, probably you will hear a lioness drinking in a small stream during a lot of time. Doves and many other birds. But we were in the gypsies. It was difficult. It's difficult for the people who is with me to be watching because as they are moving, I cannot record, and then I become very furious if I can't record. And I ask people to be quiet. Don't move, please. Now we can hear the lioness. Right? This song, cuckoo, cuckoo, no? Now, for us, it's very familiar. It's the Eurasian covered dove, so common now in our country. And easy, very familiar in cities, and for people is now very easy to identify. Now the lioness starts walking, passes close to our car, and a language with the Arab thing. I like to record soundscape because sound usually explain us a story. Is not like a picture. Is more than this. Is something occurs, something birds sing, fly away, an animal crosses in front of us, etc. And you can appreciate this by sound. We observed lion outside the park too, and we recorded some growls, but the result is more of an anthropological than a naturalistic document. Yes, it's very short. Here, three lions, young lions, had killed a buffalo and were eating it, surrounded by shepherds, farmers, and curious villagers who wanted to see them and take pictures. And so did we, of course. So this is the recording I got of lioness and lions. And during these 7 recording trips, we visited well-known and reputed tiger reserves in national parks for the observation of large mammals and especially the tiger. Kana National Park, Bandhavgarh, Corbett National Park, and they are places of great scenic beauty, and we were able to make very good observations of birds and animals. But despite enjoying the tiger safaris, we felt somewhat trapped in the gypsies, surrounded by other visitors, noisy and chatty, making it impossible to record. On our first trip in 2000, we visited Kana. And we stayed in a hut near the forest. There, we spent many hours awake listening to the mysterious sounds of the night and were able to record some moments like this. At that time, we did not know then that the powerful calls were the wrath of the sound barrier and the barking probably of an alarmed langur. But we could observe the flying squirrels passing close to us, emitting this amazing sound here. this. We returned to Cana later with Asian Adventures, and from the Gypsy we were able to get nice recordings of birds. Some examples, for example, the white-rumped shama, this wonderful song full of imitations, very rich in frequencies and different notes, sounds. I let you enjoy it. Another example of bird recorded is this, the blackfoot, the Indian grey hornbill, with this very sharp and peculiar call. It's amazing, this call. Or the black-footed oriole. These recordings were made from the Gypsy. Without moving. And I want to thank the people who accompany us, the driver and our guide from Asian Adventures, for their cooperative attitude, being silent and not moving a muscle during the recording. I know it is not easy, and this is why I want to re-mention it, but part of the success of the car recordings is thanks to the competence of these people. And now we are changing. We are moving to another very special place for us. We are going to the mountains, to Pangot. In 2001, in 2001, we met Mohit, Aggarwal. We had made contact through the internet after our first trip, and our meeting was a very exciting date on a train. Mohit took us to Pangot, to the Jungle Lord Birden Lodge, where we were his first guests, as we later found out. There, we discovered another India in a mountain landscape with green hillsides in an atmosphere of freshness and tranquility. In Pangot, In Pangod, we enjoyed walking, recording, and watching the forest birds. And always, with the help of the guides who accompanied us, we were able to identify quite a few recorded species. In Pangol, we enjoyed both nuthatches or parrots, close to the species found in the Western Palearctic, as well as species typical of temperate and Himalayan forest. I have some experts. Oh, sorry. No. This. This is black-lowered teeth. We enjoy a lot with teeth with different species. This is around the Pangod village. Also, we recorded several species of warblers. Warbler. This is the gray-hooded warbler. Or streaked lothinthrice with different species of lothinthrice. Here you are. The streaked lothinthrice. But some species are not very easy to recall, and sometimes it takes a bit of luck to be more or less successful, as is in the case of pheasant. For example, I have here Kalish pheasant. Difficult. Since our visit to Jungle Orbit Dane Lodge, all our trips to India have included a visit to Pangod. This place has been an essential meeting place on all our trips. And we are finishing. What about mammals? One of the attractions of Indian nature, in addition to its birds, of course, is the presence of large mammals. We were able to observe and record some species in addition to the cheetah road or sambar road that we have already heard at the beginning. For example, we have the chance to record some bumping into each other's horns of blackboard. It was a difficult recording. It was windy and noisy. can see in this open landscape the noise of cars and the road. Also in Kaziranga, we could record some snorting of rhino. Rhino but we wanted to record other big ones, other mammals, big, such as the gaur, the elephant, the species that can be observed in different parts of India, even heard, but difficult to record in good conditions. And of course, leopard and tiger, species observed on several occasions, almost always from the tiger safari, but we were never able to record them without noise. In 2016, we visited with Mohit a very well-preserved property in Mudumalai. There, we were able to make recordings while moving around with a certain freedom, and we also set up automatic recorders for the first time to listen to the sounds of the night, obtaining very interesting recordings. We will listen to some short excerpts of night recordings. This is during the night. This is the gaur, and now we can understand why it's called like this, gaur. Or also we got nice recording from elephant howl. Or activity of the elephant's activity like this, breaking branches. The night is very exciting, and listen to nocturnal recordings, I think it's still more exciting. And during the night, there are many alarm calls also. And we learn about the alarm calls during the tiger safari because they are a clue to the presence of tiger or leopard. Usually cheetah recordings, cheetah alarm call, or langur alarm call. In the next excerpt, we can distinguish the alarm calls of a few species. Yes. This is a real-time recording. Already a langur, barking deer, samba, barking deer, peacock, Go. Chica. And here, if you have your headphones, maybe you have heard a growl of tiger. This recording is in real time, as I say, reflecting a general and very close alarm situation of 6 and of 5 animal species, all potential prey of the tiger. As I said before, the recordings and soundscape recordings tell us the story of what's happening. This is the characteristic call of leopard. Also more alarm calls. And finally the roars of tiger in mating season. We have more recordings, but I like this one because you can hear here the flight of flies, the horse flies, that accompany the tiger and always fly around it. We learned this in Malaysia during a trek in the jungle. For the guides, the presence of the horsefly at night in the camp was a sign of the tiger's proximity and put them on alert. And in our case, it is also a sign of the tiger's proximity to the microphones. The sound tells us a lot of things. Okay, these recordings are an acoustic snapshot of the material we have recorded during these trips, thanks to the collaboration of the Asian Adventure staff. We have not yet catalogued all the recordings, but I think we have around 150 or 200 species identified. Some of them are deposited as copies in the British Library, and I am also uploading them to Xenocanto, but very slowly. And you can also listen some excerpts in my account on SoundCloud and in my website. Slowly, but I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. Ja m'ho imagino, Francesc.
So that was fantastic, Eloisa.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, I also remember the time when we were in Spiti, we were going from, when we had to cross that nala, that water that was that had broken the road.
Yeah.
So we all got off the car and we had to leave our jeep behind. And the stones were falling from top. And, Pramod, Lavan, you and I and Francis, we were running and you still had your parabola in hand and you were trying to record the sounds. And we said, let's record the sounds later,
Yeah.
before we get hit with a stone. So that was a fantastic trip, and then many other trips. But let me tell you, friends, ladies and gentlemen, both Francis and Loisa have sat up nights together to put up this presentation for you, to select these sounds for you. And I know that they have worked day in, day out in the last 1 week to 10 days to put this presentation for you. And I'm really, really thankful that you all are here to listen to their hard work. And this is what they're passionate about. This is what they do. Now I'm going to take up some questions, Loisa, that
Yes.
people are asking. And they're talking about, so let's say, I'll go to the first question that was asked earlier. And there was, okay. So Indish Patra says, would love to know the specific mic and recording devices for wildlife.
My recommendation or what?
Yes, your recommendation of for wildlife recording.
Okay, it's very difficult to say because now there is a big offer of recordings, small recordings or more professional recordings. It depends on your budget. But what I recommend, I think it's a good tool, is the use of a parabola to record birds and distant animals, because usually animals are too far from us, and with a simple microphone or even with a good microphone but in your hand, it's difficult to record because the distance is impossible to make shorter. But with a parabola you focus and amplifies the signal in a mechanical way, and so it's a good tool. I recommend this. And then you can choose, it depends on which parabola you choose, then later you decide your recorder. Usually people buy at first the recorder and later the microphone. I think it's better to choose the microphone first and then a good recorder for this microphone. To spend more money in the microphone, that is in the thing that will capture the sound, and better more than in your recorder.
Okay, great. So Nonita says, when you make a sonogram, is it possible to isolate all the different sounds individually that get recorded? Is it possible to isolate sounds?
Yeah. Okay. There are different applications to get sonograms. This one I presented today to you. I use it because it is very easy to change one sonogram for other, and it's easy. But to analyze sounds, it's better to use other kind of other application as Raven or Kaleidoscope. Also, there is a free. All of these have free versions, and these two are good tools to isolate the sound. And also Audacity is also a free one. You can isolate the sound and work with this. Yes, you can.
Okay, great. Deepak is asking, can we humans hear sounds above 15 kilohertz and below 300 kilohertz? Can humans hear sounds above 15 kilohertz?
Yes.
And below 300 kilohertz?
Yes. Between 300 kilohertz and 15,000 is the range of frequencies that we can hear without problems normally. For example, people 16 years old have problems to hear the sounds of 10,000 hertz, for example. So I don't know if is this the question. Is this the question?
Well, some sort of question. Let's get on to the next one. And Loisa, if you're okay with sharing our email ID, then people can write you directly and ask you questions. So is that okay if I share your email ID?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. And then Abid is asking. Yeah. So Abid is asking how to avoid the wind and rain sounds through using muffler. It still presents in the main sound, so it's still present. He wants to know how do you cut out the wind and the rain sound.
It's difficult. This is difficult. We usually use different. There are different possibilities of wind. ¿Cómo se dice? Oh, sorry. ¿Cómo?
Protector.
Yeah. Yes. Protector. There are different kind of protectors of the microphone to avoid wind, but when it's windy, it's difficult to record really, and then there are many noises around you also, not just the into your microphone. So try to protect this microphone with different. There are in the market. There are different. It depends on your microphone, and you will find something. But the best thing is to
wait.
Wait that the wind stops and go again the next morning. Yeah.
So Ketan is asking, as his recordings are soundscapes, are they recorded with an omnidirectional or cardioid microphones?
When I recording soundscapes, I use omni or cardioid, or cardioid microphones, omni or cardioid, not directional. I don't use directional in these cases.
Satyan is asking,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just a couple of microphones at least. Yes.
Satyan is asking, please share some details of processing and software.
Processing. I tried.
And software.
Yeah, I edit my sounds and production with Pro Tools. I use Pro Tools, but really I try to do as less as possible. I use this to cut noises and sometimes noises of the car or my own noises sometimes, or branches falling down, things like this. But I try not to edit, not to filter too much, because I recognize that at first when I started, I filtered too much my recordings. I try to get the perfect sound, and the perfect sound is if you have recorded a perfect sound. It's not when you, in my opinion, nature sounds, you can manipulate a lot, edit, filter a lot, and get nice sounds. But to me, it's not the perfect sound, because each time you filter a little bit, you are losing some of these characteristics. You are losing some harmonics and all this, the envelope of the sound. So Pro Tools is a professional. You can edit with in the market. You can find other applications, free applications also. Audacity. Yeah. Sorry.
So Lester wants to know which is the best and the most economical mic by Telinga.
The more economical mic for Telinga. Is this?
Yeah, by Telinga. Yeah. So he wants to know which is the best and economical.
Telinga. Telinga has two lines, one professional and one more amateur. The professional is more expensive, of course. The amateur, it's okay. It works well. And it has a connection in mini jack to perfect to record with small recorders as small recorders of Olympus or Marantz or others. And you have also Dodotronic is another kind of parabola. It's new from some years, and it is also made to record with these small recorders, not professional but good sound. Dodotronic or the no professional line of Telinga. It's the less expensive.
Fantastic. And Dilip wants to know sonogram and spectrogram, are this the same?
Yes. Sonogram is not the real name. Spectrogram, you have three kind of representation of sound. You have the waveform or oscillogram is you just see the amplitude of the sound during time, okay? And then you have the spectrum is like a picture in one moment, and you have the intensity of each frequency. We have not seen this. And then the spectrogram is what we have seen today, is this frequency in time, and the intensity is with the color, the intensity of the color. The spectrogram is the correct name, but usually we talk about sonogram for this kind of representation. Or some people talk about sonogram when it's talking about a spectrogram and oscillogram. But the important thing is to understand the difference between a spectrogram or sonogram and a spectra. It's a picture, like it's a moment just. Audacity, for example, it has these three, you can see one sound in these three representations, and it's very easy to understand.
Excellent. Raghu is asking, how are you using your recordings for bioacoustic research or conservation? Also, please give some tips on cataloging and archiving.
I don't understand really the question. What I am using, how?
No, you're using your research. How are you using your recordings for research and conservation?
Okay, for the pen. I am creating a collection of sounds, and I always I have the original recordings in a hard disk, and it depends if someone asks me. I don't do research directly in my just me, but I collaborate with people who is doing research, and then when they ask me for recordings, then I collaborate with them, or I give a copy, or like this. And for conservation, I try to work a lot with, doing things as today, for example, explaining the meaning of the sound, explaining bioacoustics, using sounds to make people understand easier the role of the communication, and also how we can understand the good condition of an ecosystem, for example, through sound, and how we can work with this. It's complex, it's many things.
So I think that was absolutely wonderful, Loisa. And I know the kind of intensity you have, the kind of work that you put in. I've seen Francis and you working with your sounds and all the work that you put in over the years. So hats off to you. And I know that you produce many CDs, many volumes, which are very popular in Europe, and there are people who've been buying your work over a period of time. So there are very limited number of people like you on this planet who are working specifically on bird sounds and the collections and the cataloging them, keeping them properly, giving them for research and conservation. So keep doing it, keep continuing to do it. And then I'm going to get you both here back into India.
I hope
This is home. You know, for me, that's home in Barcelona, and then for you, this is home. So you all come back here, and then we will travel to some new places. Maybe if Myanmar opens up and other places, then one day. And thank you, friends. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for showing so much respect to this couple who have worked extensively for being here. Thank you, Brian, for being here. Thank you, Sri Kumar. Thank you, Lester. Thank you, Abid. And let's say good night to them. Shabak Khair. Sleep well, and don't drink wine all alone. You've got friends here in India, or maybe you can share a sip for them. And friends, we're going to be bringing more webinars to you in due course, more natural history webinars. But on the 19th, we have a webinar by Kilmora. That's one NGO that we've been supporting with their digital marketing. So they're going to talk about the social empowerment of the community there, especially the ladies who are knitting, and they have developed art of knitting there beautifully. So attend that session on the 19th. But next week, we have more natural history webinars coming your way. I posted Loisa's email ID in the chat. Go ahead and write to her and ask your questions and stay in touch with them. They help anybody unconditionally. Thank you, Loisa. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
See you.
Bye. See you.